Hey there, so my name's Georgette. I am 21 years old and I want to start a YouTube channel. It's always kind of been something that I've been interested in. However, I don't have the time to be editing and, you know, putting in as much effort as I can at the moment. A little bit about my situation at the moment is that I am in the dark with one bathroom light on because I have a severe migraine. And yeah, I thought I'd just kind of introduce myself a little bit and maybe post this video. I also like this maybe better, not sure if this will change in the future, of just maybe just doing this here, camera to camera, because it's quick, it's easy. I can stop finally putting off sharing something with the world that's a little productive of me. And this is honestly how I spend most of my days on Snapchat, which you can follow, and I will possibly put the link below. Okay, let's get this party started. So, my name is Georgette. I am 5'4" and I live in Chicago. I was born and raised here, and I haven't traveled too many places. I am Mexican and African American, so I have traveled to Mexico one time. I just got a notification, so I got a little brighter here. But yeah, I traveled to Mexico one time when I was younger. I think I was in about 4th grade, but that's about it. And basically all the states on the way there. I have recently made my first trip in October of last year to Florida. It was my first big girl trip without my family. I did go visit one of my friends of a family member, which was really cool, but I honestly am a very chill person. Most of what my vacation consisted of was sleeping. So yeah, where else have I gone? And everyone in Chicago has been to Wisconsin Dells, so that's not that exciting, but those are all the states for the most part that I've been to. I'm hoping to travel a little more this year as I get more income my way, hopefully. But yeah, about me right now, I currently live in Chicago, now in the city, which I grew up in the city, and then I had graduated in 2016 from high school and moved in with my best friend and her boyfriend. Unfortunately, that situation didn't work out for me because it was a dangerous situation. I felt very depressed after the ordeal. You know, I kind of felt like I lost myself in a way before that, and I was getting really non-motivated in school, and then especially afterwards I felt like I lost my friend at the same time as my home. So I moved to the suburbs and got back on my feet. I was severely depressed between I went back to school in January, but I dropped out again before midterms because I was severely depressed, and honestly I didn't want to get out of bed. I just thought, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, which happens to everyone, but my biggest advice is just keep going, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I know it sounds hard because I can tell you I know the feeling of not wanting to wake up in the morning or get out of bed, but the more you just physically force yourself and your body to get up, the better your outcome will be. So yeah, I moved to the suburbs and I dropped out of school by midterms, which was really hard for me too. Actually, I dropped out but continued to go to my photography class because my professor was just so awesome. He was so energetic and he really wanted to force us to do different things, which I liked photography in high school, especially. I took a big interest in it, but he forced me to think in a way more of an artist, and I really loved that about him. So I continued to go to class a few weeks after, and then I was like, yeah, okay, I can't keep, freeloading afterwards, which no one tells you, but you will have to pay back your free financial aid if you don't finish your semester. So I might as well have continued to finish the semester because I ended up in debt with $2,500, which it's not a lot, but in hindsight, when you're, in the middle of being depressed and not wanting to do anything, it can be very overwhelming on top of everything else. So again, my biggest advice would be to just try to continue on and push through it, have a good support system. And if you don't have that available to you, because I know that sometimes it's not available, use your resources. A lot of universities have, support systems available. What else? So afterwards, I worked at my first job that I quit, which was Chase, and it was horrendous. At the time before that, I was working at Walgreens. Shout out to Walgreens. It was really awesome because I love my coworkers, to be honest. But again, I just wanted a change in my life, so I started working for Chase. I was a little unhappy, not because of the company per se, but again, I was just going through too much. So I stopped doing that. Then one of my family members had mentioned working in retail for a jewelry company, which I currently work at still, and I thought, why not try something else? But before that, I was a little still hesitant because I was afraid of failing or failing that person specifically. So yeah, because I'd never done retail in the way that, retail as far as actually competitive and commission sales. So I became a mommy's helper, and I literally did this for about 2-3 weeks before I was like, yeah, I have to do something serious with my life because the pay was not cutting it, as much as I also loved that experience. So I started working at this retail store, and I quickly learned. I'm a quick learner, by the way. I mean, I always want to try different things. I never claimed to be a pro at anything, and I really am not still, but I love trying new things in general and seeing what I do like, what I don't like, etc. So I ended up being, I think, really good. I am really good at my job. And yeah, I did that for a while, and then, of course, I had a lot of pressures from family members who wanted to know when I would be going back to school, and I, of course, was like, when I can, when I feel like I'm prepared for it, which that didn't come until 1.5 to 2 years later. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable here because now my arm is getting tired. So, yeah, after that, what did I do? I just mostly worked, and the first year went by super fast. After a lot of pressure from my family, I decided to dip my toes back in and go back to community college to do one class, which was math, because to me math was always easy. Like I said, I learned pretty quickly, and math is one of those things that you learn it and then you can kind of practice it. But then I ended up running into an issue with financial aid because at the age of 18, I moved out of my mother's house because she was verbally abusive. Her boyfriend, who was a live-in boyfriend, was not only verbally but physically abusive, and it was no longer a safe space for me. And I just felt like a lot of pain and honestly PTSD from the situation and the way I grew up in general. So the minute I had some independence, I chose to try and do it, out mostly by myself, but I did have a lot of support from my family, luckily. So for financial aid, they usually ask you on your FAFSA if you know and you've gone through this, what are your parents' tax information, will they be filing, whatever. I did put, of course, I do not know anything about them because my father unfortunately passed away a long time ago, whom I never really met, but yeah, and my mother, I didn't want to be in contact with her because I didn't want her to know where I lived, what I looked like. I changed a lot of things about my appearance. I moved away. Like, I just thought it would be best for my safety and my sanity. So I chose to not disclose that information, which brought me into the problem of becoming an independent student. In order to become an independent student, you have to go through verification. For me, it's been every year. For some people, it's like once and then not anymore, and then yeah, it's crazy. And basically, I have to get all these letters that prove that I support myself and that I don't have contact with my parents and whatever the case may be. So yeah. So eventually, long story short, when I went back to school for that one class, my financial aid wasn't kicking in, and I was having a lot of setbacks with it. So I was just like, let me drop out before they charge me. Well, basically, I didn't start at a 12-week class. I started at an 8-week class. I believe it's an 8-week, yeah. And the deadline for the 8-week was the same deadline as the 12-week. And basically, I started school on a Monday, and the deadline was on a Friday to drop out. And I had only gone to one class because there was a holiday on that Monday. I can't remember. There was like a holiday in February, and it was on a Monday, but then we had class on Wednesday, so I would have had only one class to figure out whether or not I wanted to drop, which was really unfair to me. So yeah, I ended up getting a bill of $3,000, and I was just like, 3,000? Where? And I petitioned for it to be overturned, but honestly, I will admit that I haven't looked back into there because I didn't get a letter or anything, so I'm assuming that bill is gone. And if it is not, y'all are gonna have to take this out of my taxes, because I don't know why you guys want $3,000 from me for one class. So yeah, basically I dropped out after the deadline. I dropped out that Tuesday following, after I found out about the deadline situation, after speaking to an advisor. And again, I just found myself in a position where I'm just making decisions that are very uninformed and hasty. And I'm like, I sat down with myself and I said, why are you making these mistakes? And honestly, the answer was always, I felt pressured. Not verbally by my family, but I felt like, which, yes, it was verbal pressure, definitely, but also I was seeing everyone's life move faster than mine. My cousin is in the military, in the Marines, and one of my other family friends had just graduated from college, and I just felt like life was moving on without me. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it right, and I need to do it when I'm ready. So I didn't go back that fall, but I did decide that I would go back in the spring. And here I am. So now I'm a full-time student. I work at a hospital, and I also still work for the retail company. I will not name them because I don't want them to look me up, because it's unnecessary or whatever. But yeah, I do really enjoy my jobs at the moment. I am currently stressed the fuck out over working so many hours and trying to study, and also being a STEM major. It's very hard, and of course I'm trying to get through it all fast because I'm trying to catch up, because I am that kind of person where things overwhelm me if they're not going at a right pace. So of course I chose to take a language, an intensive English, a chemistry, and at first I signed up for calculus, which I quickly quickly regretted and switched over to an easier one. I was just like, let me start at the beginning. You know, the thing about me is that I don't want to just do something rushed. I want to make sure I do it to the best of my ability. So for me, the best decision was to start at a basic math class no matter where I placed, because I needed to be a pro. Okay, so yeah, that's where I'm at now in life. Dating. Ooh, okay. So, as far as dating, when I moved in with my best friend, I had my first like real heartbreak boyfriend. It literally was like a 3-month thing, and yeah, but he for some reason had this huge effect on me. It was my first in many areas, and yeah, but I'm definitely glad I waited until I was an adult to have a relationship, unlike many of my peers and friends, sorry, who did start dating people earlier. I don't feel like I missed out on anything. On the contrary, I feel like I was blessed, because I just think high school relationships are so unnecessary. You're at a point in your life where you need to focus on the things that are important to you, which should be your education. For some people, that's not the case, but for me, it is the case. So I needed to focus on dating at a later time. So yeah, I dated the first person for the first time, and in hindsight, I wanted to be friends even after, because he was a very close person to me and I felt very comfortable with him. Unfortunately, he hurt me and disrespected me and kind of became this other person afterwards, which I understand why, I guess, but at the same time, I don't condone it or, you know, accept like that behavior. But, it is what it is, and I think he's doing pretty well. So I'm glad for that. And yeah, afterwards, I think it took me like a good 6 months maybe to finally start wanting to date other people, because I was so heartbroken. Like, of course, I was going through the whole depression thing, and then finally, after I was done with the depression thing, it's like the whole heartbreak hit me, and I was just like, bruh, give me a break here, God, or whatever. I'm not super religious, by the way, but I do say, oh my God, stuff like that. I believe in being a good person and that good things will happen to you, but not super religious overall. Maybe I should go like this. Maybe this is gonna be more comfortable. No, yeah, okay, never mind. So, going back to it. So after I finally had some time to myself, and I finally got into the work habit, as I explained, I started dating after 6 months, maybe, this guy, and he was the most interesting person, definitely. Which, let me talk to you guys about something. Do you guys know about this whole like choking thing? Apparently, it's an epidemic or a frenzy. I don't know what to call it in people of my age group, but I'll tell you, he tried that, and it's not something I'm very fond of. And I don't know who would like to be choked for pleasure, but I feel like you guys need to get checked out or something, because no. But I quickly let him know that that is not what I'm into. If that's what he was into, we were not going to work out, and yeah, so it never happened again. Overall, this guy, he was trying to be in the beginning of his career, and we were both just people not really knowing what to do, just moving along and trying to do the goals that we had now, or finish the goals we had now. So yeah, I just felt like he was a very magnetic person, and I wanted to spend, of course, like every day with him. And then I started to realize, you know, I was becoming a little much, to be quite honest with you. But I mean, I guess that's what you do when you're new to dating. And you know, everyone else had been through that, and I was still learning what was appropriate and what was not appropriate, even though I'm pretty sure I knew it wasn't appropriate to be at his house every day. Um, that was TMI. But yeah, I just thought he was really cool. We could just talk about anything again, like, and yeah, I mean, that went on for a while. We were, I would say, pretty friendly in general. We're both very chill people, and yeah, that was that. In the between, of course, I dated other people. No one that was too. No one I need to mention at the moment, but eventually we can talk about it. But yeah, eventually that person ended up having a baby, and for me personally, I always wanted kids. I always want a family. And I think that for me, it is very important to know that your partner is here for you and down for you. Both life. But yeah, I just feel like as a person who is about to have a child, you should reevaluate your situation with your co-parent and see if maybe there still is a possibility for you guys to parent together, because I personally believe that kids deserve two parents if that's a possibility. And so yeah, we stopped talking for a while. You know, he of course, we of course hit each other up once in a while, but it's nothing too serious. But I definitely thank him a lot. I mean, I never told him that, but I think because of him, I was able to move on from what I was going through, and also it's kind of a relief for me in a lot of different areas. I remember one time actually, he told me, he's like, "You seem like you never want to go home," and not in a bad way, but yeah. And I was like, honestly, I don't want to go home. But yeah, we're just pretty much vibing. Afterwards, I then started dating other people and got more responsible about my dating life. And you know, there's periods when you don't want people in your life at all, and there's periods where you're like, I need to be cuddled right now. But again, another conversation for another time. After that, we're leading into a big mistake that I made. Afterwards, another few big mistakes, and now I am a single woman of 21 years old and currently dating, but I don't know, I'm at that kind of mood where I'm just like over the bull, and I'm sure I will be all about the bull at some point later, but yeah. But currently I do have someone in my life that I am interested in heavily, fuck with heavy. He's very respectful and just nice, and he's funny and kind, so I'm excited to see, of course, where it goes. But for me personally, dating and expectations are just like, forget about it right now, because you know, naturally people are figuring themselves out, just like I had the opportunity to do it. I think I definitely allow people to do that for themselves as well, and I think that if I feel like you haven't experienced everything, then you should before you make any serious decisions about your relationship life. So yeah. Anything else? Oh, so I'm living currently in the city. I moved in with my used to be best friend, but now we're having some issues. Of course, she's not home right now, or I probably wouldn't be vlogging. But yeah, it's definitely been a ride. At the moment, I'm not wanting to share too much about it. It has not been a positive experience, and I'm learning. It's funny, a lot of people are saying I don't think roommates are for you, but on the contrary, I do actually think roommates are awesome. It's just that they haven't been working out. But I will keep you guys posted on what happens. I can't wait, by the way. And now that I've talked forever and a day, please leave me a comment or like this video if you thought that I was, decent with my first vid. And if there's anything you guys want to know, as much as I say like I'm not ready to share things right now, it's mostly because I don't want to waste your time and bore you. But I'm pretty much an open book, so if there's anything you guys want to know or have a question about that I said or didn't say, let me know. Trust me, I have lots of time, lots of energy. That's not true. But I'm excited. I'm excited about the journey. I'm excited to hopefully touch someone in a way that they haven't been. And I hope, my goal mostly for making these videos is for people like my age and people who are like me in general, who feel like the world is moving without them. You're not alone. Depression is something that hits everyone. Anxiety is something that hits everyone, and growth will happen, but you just have to allow it to take its place when it's ready to, and not force yourself into anything prematurely. My biggest advice, my advice for the week is, what is my advice for the week? Ask a wild question to a family member you don't usually talk to. Younger, older, farther down the family tree, further up the family tree. Figure out something new about your family. Because I'm learning more and more that family is so important to keep in touch with, and your one comment to them, this person you haven't talked to in a long time, could be the beginning of a huge relationship for you. And honestly, in life, professionally and personally, it's all about who you know in order to succeed. So start with your family, because they're the ones who love you the most. And if you don't have a family, because again, I understand what it's like, choose to build a relationship with a friend, a family member of a friend. And yeah, also, biggest advice for the world here, listen to someone's advice this week without offering your opinion and or personal experience. Simply listen. Say yes. And if they ask you, or what, are you not paying attention to me, or do you not care? No, it's not that you don't care. Tell them that it's because you care, that you just want this time to be about them. Because at the end of the day, we all just want to be listened to. We don't always want to hear your opinion. No, but for real, the best way to be a friend and to be a listener is to not relate something back to your life all the time. Just purely make your relationship about your relationship. Alright guys, that's all I have for today. It is currently 1:09 a.m. on a Monday morning, and I have class today and work, so I will let you guys go. I will update this video, and hopefully I get at least 1 follower today. Alright guys, have a good night. Bye.